Stories Philippines Podcast.
A hush falls, not because the world has grown quiet, but because something unseen moves through the southern night. The streets of Zamboanga, lined with the scars of conflict and the echo of distant explosions, seem to wait. There is a chill, not of air, but of memory that settles over the city and its outlying villages. Amid the chaos, stories flicker like candles left in shuttered windows, fragile but determined, refusing to be extinguished by violence or fear. What is evil, truly? Is it the blast of a bomb? The silent tread of an intruder in the dark? The whispered rumor of an enemy unseen? Or does evil wear 1,000 faces? Sometimes wearing yours, sometimes mine. Always lurking at the edge of understanding. If you were to listen closely on a humid night in Mindanao, would you hear the footsteps of a man or something older? Something with a name spoken only in trembling voices. The Saitan. A word of caution before we begin. The tale tonight descends into shadows woven from the fabric of history and the threads of the supernatural. Some listeners may find the journey unsettling, even disturbing. If you choose to continue, do so with the knowledge that what follows may linger long after the story ends. I am Jessica, and you are listening to Stories Philippines Podcast. This is Season 4, Episode 8, The Light in the South. For those who find resonance in the tales we share, your own experiences are most welcome. Send your stories to our email at stories-phpodcast@gmail.com. Show notes and ways to support the podcast can be found in the description below. If you want a deeper dive into Filipino folklore, exclusive content awaits you on Patreon, and our social media feeds are filled with daily folklore facts. The southern reaches of the Philippines are a landscape of contradiction. Mindanao is lush, its mountains dense with secrets, and its coastlines carved by centuries of trade and war. Zamboanga, its western sentinel, has known both the promise of commerce and the devastation of conflict. In the early years of the new millennium, bombings rocked the city. October of 2002, October 17th, 21st. Each one a wound on the body of a city already marked by older, deeper scars. The violence was not new. The struggle for identity, for land, and for peace in Mindanao is a story that stretches back through generations, across empires and religions, through the Moro Wars against Spanish and American colonizers, through the rise and fall of sultanates, through the long, silent wars waged in the shadows. But beneath the surface of politics and power, another struggle has always simmered. In Mindanao, every conflict is haunted by stories older than the first Spanish galleon or the first American rifle. Stories of the Saitan, the evil spirits, the tempters, the destroyers, run like an underground river through the life of the South. In Zamboanga, Cotabato, Basilan, and Sulu, the Saitan are not mere metaphors. They are felt presences, blamed for misfortune, madness, and malice that cannot be explained by human hands alone. It is said that the Saitan are legion. Their name, a cousin of the Arabic shaitan, predates the arrival of either Christianity or Islam on these islands. Yet their legend has grown in the shadow of both. The Saitan are not the Christian devil, nor merely jinn from Islamic tales. They are something in between and beyond. Spirits of ruin and chaos, shapeshifters who can assume the guise of men or beasts, who slip through walls and dreams and leave only suffering in their wake. The Moro, as the Spanish called the Muslim peoples of Mindanao, have always had their own stories. Long before the arrival of the cross or the crescent, the southern tribes spoke of spirits who lived in the forests, the rivers, and the mountains, some benevolent, others hungry. When Islam came from the west, bringing its own stories of the shayateen, the evil ones, the native Saitan found new forms, new meanings. They became, in some tales, the enemies of Allah, creatures who tempted the faithful from the path, who haunted battlefields and whispered to would-be martyrs. But in Mindanao, everything is syncretic, woven together from many traditions, colored by the blood of many wars. The Saitan may be called by an Arabic name, but their actions are as Filipino as the balete tree and the night wind. They are blamed for possessions, for sudden madness, for the darkness that sometimes settles over a house or a whole village. A listener from Zamboanga shares a story from her childhood, when bombings were almost a weekly fear. She remembers her father, a policeman, returning home one night, his face pale and eyes haunted. He spoke of a raid on a suspected safe house, but what shook him was not the violence. In one of the rooms, they found a child, eyes glazed, speaking in a voice that did not belong in any child's throat. The elders were called. They whispered of Saitan, of spirits drawn to bloodshed, feeding on the anger and grief that hung heavy over the city. That night, the family burned incense, recited prayers in both Arabic and Spanish, and waited for the dawn. The Saitan are not only spirits of madness, they are, in many stories, tempters and destroyers. In Basilan, there are tales of men who wander into the jungle, drawn by a voice only they can hear, and return days later with no memory of what has passed. Sometimes they come back forever changed, violent or catatonic or unable to speak. In Sulu, fishermen speak of nights when the sea boils with lights that are neither star nor lantern. To follow these lights, they say, is to vanish forever, taken by the Saitan to a kingdom beneath the waves. The lines between the supernatural and the human are thin in Mindanao. The Moro-Moro tradition itself is layered with stories of resistance, of cunning, of survival in the face of overwhelming odds. The Spanish saw the Moros as enemies, pirates and infidels. The Moros, in turn, saw the Spaniards as invaders, bringers of both new gods and new devils. In the plays that once filled village squares, actors would don the masks of both Christian and Muslim, hero and villain, angel and Saitan, a theater of war that echoed the real battles raging across the archipelago. In the aftermath of each bombing in Zamboanga, rumors would spread. Some said the attacks were not only the work of men, but of evil spirits loosed by the violence. Others whispered that the bombers themselves were possessed, driven by forces beyond their control. In a place where every tragedy is a potential curse, and every curse a potential tragedy, it is easy to see how the Saitan thrive. A young man from Cotabato, whose family fled to Davao after losing everything in a fire, recalls the night his cousin began to change. She would wake screaming, eyes wide, nails clawing at her own skin. The family brought her to a local imam who recited verses from the Quran, burned fragrant leaves, and told them to keep a lamp burning in her room at all times. The Saitan, he explained, fear the light, but they crave the darkness of grief. For weeks, the family kept vigil. There were nights when the lamp would flicker and die, even though no wind stirred. On those nights, the screams would return. Find show notes and support options in the description. Access exclusive content on Patreon. For more daily folklore facts, follow us on social media. To understand the Saitan of Mindanao, one must understand the land itself. The mountains of Lanao del Sur are steeped in mist, their slopes dotted with ancient trees that have seen the rise and fall of sultanates. In the valleys, the rivers run wide and fast, carrying stories from one village to the next. The people here are resilient, shaped by centuries of conflict, but also by centuries of hope. There are parallels in other lands: the jinn of Arabia, the demons of Persia, the Rakshasas of India. In each case, evil spirits are both a metaphor for human failings and a real presence in daily life. In Mindanao, the Saitan are both cautionary tales and explanations for the inexplicable. They are blamed for sudden deaths, for crops that fail, for children lost to the forest. Yet they are also a way of making sense of suffering, a way of naming the darkness when no other name will do. A story submitted by a listener from Basilan tells of a village that lost 3 children in as many weeks. The deaths were sudden, unexplained. The elders declared that a Saitan had taken up residence near the old well. They organized a procession, carrying torches and reciting prayers in 3 languages. That night, the air was thick with smoke and fear, but by morning the deaths had stopped. The well was sealed, and the story passed into legend. Modern science offers its own explanations. Psychologists speak of mass hysteria, of trauma-induced episodes made worse by the constant threat of violence. Doctors point to diseases, to contaminated water, to the stresses of displacement and poverty. Yet even the most rational among them admit that belief in the supernatural is often a necessary balm, a way for people to wrestle meaning from horror. The Saitan are not always malevolent. In some stories, they are tricksters, teaching lessons through suffering. A fisherman from Samal Island tells of being lost at sea, guided home by a strange bird that spoke in riddles. When he returned, he found that his house had burned in his absence. He rebuilt, but never again went to sea without first offering a prayer to keep the Saitan at bay. The history of Mindanao is a tapestry of faiths. Islam arrived in the 14th and 15th centuries, brought by traders and missionaries from Borneo and the Malay Peninsula. It found fertile ground among the sultanates of Sulu and Maguindanao. Catholicism followed in the wake of Spanish conquest, bringing its own saints and devils. The result is a landscape where prayers are spoken in many tongues, where amulets hang beside crucifixes, and where every shadow is alive with possibility. The Saitan have adapted, as all legends do. In the old days, they were spirits of the land and water. Now, they are just as likely to be blamed for the evil that men do to each other. Bombings, kidnappings, betrayals, all are seen as possible works of the Saitan, or at least as moments when the boundary between human and supernatural malice blurs. A mother from Jolo recounts a night when her husband did not return from the market. She waited by the door until dawn, listening to the distant sound of gunfire. When he finally came home, he was silent, eyes unfocused. For days, he refused to speak of what he had seen, except to murmur that he had walked with the Saitan. Whether this was a confession of guilt, a metaphor for trauma, or something else entirely, she never learned. If you have your own story of encountering the unexplained, share it with us through storiesphpodcast@gmail.com. Your experiences help keep these traditions alive. In the villages of Mindanao, every illness has a cause, every misfortune a meaning. Healers, whether imam, priest, or babaylan, are called to intervene when the Saitan are suspected. Rituals may include the slaughter of a chicken, the burning of leaves, or the recitation of holy verses. Sometimes a special talisman is crafted, blessed by both Christian and Muslim elders, and worn around the neck until the danger has passed. There are tales of the Moro warriors who faced not only Spanish or American guns, but also the Saitan who haunted the battlefield. Some said that the bravest were protected by ancestral spirits, while the cowards fell prey to the whispers of the Saitan. Their courage sapped, their will broken. The concept of the Saitan has parallels across the world. In the Middle East, the shayateen are seen as tempters and adversaries. In Africa, spirits of chaos are blamed for civil strife and personal tragedy. In Mindanao, the Saitan are as real as the next thunderstorm, as present as the memory of yesterday's violence. One story submitted by a listener from Marawi tells of a soldier who survived a roadside explosion but began to see shadows moving at the edge of his vision. He was convinced the Saitan had followed him home, punishing him for the blood he had shed. His family brought him to both a priest and an imam, who performed rites of cleansing and forgiveness. Whether the shadows left or whether he simply learned to live with them is left to the listener's imagination. For those seeking more stories, remember to check our show notes and support options in the description. Our Patreon members enjoy deeper dives into these mysteries, and our social media is a daily source of folklore and history. The Saitan are not only creatures of the night. In some tales, they dwell in the hearts of men, driving them to acts of cruelty and betrayal. In times of war, their influence is said to grow, feeding on the fear and suffering that war brings. During the Zamboanga siege, stories spread of soldiers who seemed possessed, laughing as they fired into crowds, eyes bright with something not wholly human. Others spoke of miraculous escapes, of bullets that missed by inches, of voices in the smoke urging them to run or to fight. In quiet moments, after the shooting stops, the people of Mindanao gather to tell stories. Some are of hope, some of loss, and some of the Saitan, who remain as much a part of life as rain and sun. The darkness in the south is not only the absence of light, it is the presence of stories, of memories that refuse to be silenced. It is the knowledge that evil is never simple, never far away, always waiting for an invitation. As this episode draws to a close, reflect on the shadows that move through your own life. Where do they come from? Are they born of fear, of grief, of anger? Or are they older, deeper, part of a story that began long before you were born? What would you do if you met a Saitan on a lonely road, or in the hallways of your own mind? Would you recognize it? Or would it wear a face you know and love? As one old saying from the South goes, the devil you know is sometimes the neighbor you trust. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the heart of Mindanao's darkness, where every story is a lantern, and every lantern is a prayer. Listen to more episodes for journeys into the unknown. Do not forget to like, subscribe, follow, and share this podcast. Support the podcast financially in ways you can find in the show notes. Thank you for tuning in, and until next time, keep your light burning. Goodbye.